For decades, the World Heavyweight Championship has been the centerpiece of many of the greatest WWE moments in history. Some of them include iconic title wins, unforgettable rivalries,
one of the great rivalries in the history of the WWE,
and betrayals that made our jaws drop.
What's happening? Are you kidding me?
But how did this prestigious title come to define greatness in pro wrestling? Today, we take you on a journey through the entire history of the World Heavyweight Championship, who held it, who lost it, and how its prestige has shaped the WWE as we know it. And so it begins. In 2002, WWE was about to change forever. The company's first ever draft would split its roster in half, creating two distinct brands, SmackDown and Raw. At the time, only one man held the most prestigious prize in the business, Brock Lesnar, the WWE Undisputed Champion.
Brock Lesnar, only 25 years of age.
But the draft would do more than divide rosters. It would divide champions too. SmackDown's general manager, Stephanie McMahon, had a plan. She signed Lesnar to an exclusive contract, making SmackDown his permanent home. This decision didn't just lock Lesnar into one show. He took the WWE Undisputed Championship with him, and Raw was left without a world title. But Eric Bischoff wasn't going to let that fly. He had a plan.
New World Champion, Triple H! What?
And in typical Bischoff fashion, it was bold and controversial. Triple H was awarded the World Heavyweight title by Eric Bischoff. Fans were excited about the potential of a tournament, but Bischoff just handed the old WCW belt to Triple H and named him the World Champion. The game wasted no time establishing his dominance as the first World Heavyweight Champion. With the iconic big gold belt around his waist, Triple H became an unstoppable force on Raw. But this was just the start of his epic run. Triple H ends up holding this title an incredible 5 times over the years. That's right, 5 reigns as World Heavyweight Champion. During his first reign as World Champion, Triple H had 7 successful title defenses against the likes of Jeff Hardy, RVD, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Kane. He held the title for 76 days. During this reign, WWE saw one of its most controversial storylines unfold. A feud between the cerebral assassin Triple H and the Big Red Machine Kane took center stage, culminating in a high-stakes match at No Mercy. With both the Intercontinental and World Heavyweight Championships on the line, tensions ran high. Leading up to their title match at No Mercy, Triple H accused Kane of being involved in a relationship with a woman named Katie Vick, who had died in a tragic car crash. He went further, alleging that Kane had performed necrophilia, meaning he had sex with her corpse. In a shocking turn, Triple H aired a video of himself dressed as Kane, simulating necrophilia with a mannequin, which sparked outrage among fans. Kane's tag team partner, the Hurricane, retaliated with a humorous video, but the angle was heavily criticized and soon de-emphasized. At No Mercy, Triple H defeated Kane, unifying the Intercontinental and World Heavyweight titles. But the storyline remains one of WWE's most controversial. Now let's talk about one of the most insane moments in Triple H's championship reign. The very first Elimination Chamber match, which took place at Survivor Series 2002. Picture this, 6 superstars locked inside a massive steel structure, each one hungry for that big gold belt. Triple H finds himself defending his title against Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Kane, Rob Van Dam, and Booker T. It's absolute chaos. But he eventually dropped the title in that match, and Shawn Michaels won the World Heavyweight title in the first ever Elimination Chamber match. The arena explodes. Fans can't believe what they're seeing. Shawn Michaels, the guy who everyone thought was done, is standing there with the World Heavyweight Championship. It's like something out of a movie, but it's real and it's happening right in front of our eyes. Unfortunately, HBK's 4th reign as world champion wasn't long, consisting of 2 title defenses, and his reign lasted for 28 days. The highlight of this reign was Michaels' spellbinding match with Rob Van Dam on an episode of Raw. The Game got his revenge and regained the championship from HBK at Armageddon in a brutal 3 stages of hell match. This wasn't your average title bout. Oh no. This was a brutal three-part war that would push both men to their absolute limits. This wasn't the first 3 stages of Hell match, and it wasn't the last. The first 3 stages of Hell match happened in 2001 at No Way Out, when Stone Cold Steve Austin was involved in a feud with Triple H, with no title on the line. 1 year later, Triple H did it again, this time against Shawn Michaels at Armageddon. The first stage was a street fight. No rules, no mercy. Triple H and Shawn Michaels tore into each other like wild animals. They fought all over the ringside area, with Triple H bleeding almost immediately. Despite that, Triple H took the first fall with a pedigree, but that was just the beginning. The second stage was a steel cage. The cage came down next and the 2 men were locked inside, where it was Michaels' turn to get busted open. Despite this, HBK came off the cage with a splash through a table to pin Triple H and even the odds. And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, this led to a ladder match, with the World Heavyweight Championship hanging high above the ring. With Michaels being the originator of the match, Moore thought he was going to win it. However, the 2 brutalized each other with the ladders, and Triple H ended up throwing the showstopper off the ladder and through 4 stacked tables to win the match and recapture his title. The emotional toll was insane. You could see the exhaustion, the pain, and the sheer determination in their eyes. These weren't just 2 wrestlers fighting for a title. This was personal. In the end, the game was back on top, and so it begins. Triple H's reign of terror. This kickstarted Triple H's 280-day reign as champion. Triple H's reign of terror lasted 2.5 years on Raw. Triple H feuded with many marquee names, but he always found a way to come out on top, which derailed many wrestlers' momentum. That's why fans started referring to this period as the reign of terror for Triple H, as his placement on the show hurt the momentum of other talents. Many fans were critical of Triple H's run as champion, as many believe he buried the likes of Scott Steiner, Booker T, Rob Van Dam, and Kevin Nash. However, Triple H's reign of terror gave Raw the stability it needed with an established heel champion like The Game. For the most part, Triple H dominated the world title picture for 3 years. In fact, between Unforgiven 2002 and Vengeance 2005, only 2 premium live events, World Heavyweight Championship matches, did not feature Triple H. Bad Blood 2004, Chris Benoit vs. Kane, and SummerSlam 2004, Chris Benoit vs. Randy Orton. Just when Triple H thought he had the World Heavyweight Championship on lockdown, a new challenger emerges. Enter Goldberg, the unstoppable force from WCW, ready to shake things up in WWE. At Unforgiven 2003, Goldberg faced Triple H in a match where everything was on the line. It's not just about the title. Goldberg's entire career hangs in the balance. The tension in the arena was through the roof as these 2 titans clashed. In a moment that sends shockwaves through the WWE universe, Goldberg defeated Triple H and claimed the gold. The fans go wild as they witness the crowning of a new champion. But Goldberg's reign is far from smooth sailing. Triple H, furious at losing his precious title, places a bounty on Goldberg's head. Suddenly, every wrestler in the locker room is gunning for the new champ. And let's not forget about Evolution, the powerful faction led by Triple H, constantly interfering and making Goldberg's life miserable. For 84 days, Goldberg fought off the likes of Shawn Michaels, Kane, Chris Jericho, and Evolution. However, at Armageddon 2003, it all came crashing down in a brutal triple threat match. Goldberg lost his title, bringing an end to his short but impactful reign as champion. In the end, Triple H stood tall, reclaiming his precious title. But the drama's just beginning. Shawn Michaels wanted another shot at the gold, leading to a nail-biting last man standing match on January 25, 2004 at the Royal Rumble to a double countout, so he retained the title as a result. These 2 former friends turned bitter rivals tear each other apart, pushing their bodies to the limit. It's a brutal showcase of their intense rivalry. Triple H's 8th World Championship reign saw 2 successful title defenses with Shawn Michaels, which ended in draws. The saga reached its climax at WrestleMania 20. Triple H defended his title against Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit in a triple threat match. The New York crowd goes wild as these 3 superstars put on a clinic. In a shocking turn of events, Benoit makes Triple H tap out to the crippler crossface, ending the game's 3rd reign as World Heavyweight Champion, which lasted 91 days. The crowd went nuts. After the match, Benoit celebrated his win with then reigning WWE champion Eddie Guerrero. The triple threat rematch was held at Backlash in Benoit's hometown of Edmonton. It was Michaels who ended up submitting to Benoit's sharpshooter, allowing Benoit to retain his title. Benoit's victory was more than just a title win. It was the culmination of years of hard work and sacrifice. Fans were on an emotional roller coaster as the next night in Calgary, he and Edge won the World Tag Team Championship from Batista and Ric Flair, making Benoit a double champion. But in wrestling, nothing lasts forever. At SummerSlam 2004, everything changed. Benoit faced a young talent named Randy Orton. In a match that had everyone on the edge of their seats, Orton pulled off the upset. Just like that, Benoit's fairy tale run came to an end. In a shocking turn of events, Orton pins Benoit to become the new World Heavyweight Champion.
Randy Orton has done it! The youngest world champion!
But this isn't just any title win. Orton becomes the youngest world champion in WWE history at just 24 years and 136 days old. Talk about making an impact. The wrestling world is buzzing. Fans can't believe what they've just witnessed. Has a new era begun? Is Randy Orton the future of WWE? But hold on, because this story takes an unexpected twist.
Daddy's back.
The very next night on Raw, Orton's mentors in Evolution, Triple H, Ric Flair, and Batista, throw him a massive celebration. There's confetti and balloons. It looks like Orton's on top of the world. Then out of nowhere, Triple H gives Orton a thumbs down. The celebration turns into an ambush as Evolution turns on its youngest member. Why? Because the fans were starting to cheer for Orton, and Triple H couldn't stand the thought of being overshadowed. Just like that, Orton became a babyface. It's a classic wrestling swerve that leaves everyone's head spinning. But here's the problem. Orton isn't ready for this sudden change. He struggled to connect with the audience as a good guy, and his reign as champion starts to look shaky. A month later, Orton lost the world title to Triple H at Unforgiven after interference from Flair, Batista, and Jonathan Coachman. But don't count Randy Orton out just yet. This early setback is just the beginning of his journey with the World Heavyweight Championship. In fact, Orton's relationship with this title is going to play a crucial role in its ultimate fate. How? Well, that's a story for later. Triple H became a 9-time world champion at Unforgiven, capturing the World Heavyweight title for the 4th time. But the game's road back to the top is far from smooth. Old rivals emerge from his past, hungry for a shot at the gold. Shawn Michaels, Chris Benoit, and Edge all step up to challenge Triple H's reign. Each match pushes the game to his limits, forcing him to dig deep and prove why he's called the Cerebral Assassin. Then comes a night on Raw that changes everything. Triple H finds himself defending the title in a triple threat match against Edge and Chris Benoit. It's absolute chaos from start to finish. Bodies flying everywhere, finishers are hit out of nowhere, and the crowd is on their feet the entire time. But here's where it gets crazy. The match ends in a draw. That's right, no clear winner. For the first time in its history, the World Heavyweight Championship is left hanging in the balance. What happens now? Who's the rightful champion? The World Heavyweight Championship became vacant for the first time. This unprecedented situation set the stage for one of the most epic championship scrambles in WWE history. At New Year's Revolution, on January 9, 2005, 6 men enter the Elimination Chamber with a shot at glory. Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista, Edge, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit, all locked inside that unforgiving steel structure. The game kicked off 2005 with a bang by reaching the landmark of becoming a 10-time world champion. Triple H lastly eliminated Randy Orton in the Elimination Chamber at New Year's Revolution. The game culminated his feud with Orton by retaining the title at the Royal Rumble. Remember when we talked about Triple H's iron grip on the World Heavyweight Championship? Well, little did the game know that his biggest threat was right under his nose the whole time. Enter Batista, the muscle-bound powerhouse who started as Triple H's loyal enforcer in Evolution. At first, Batista was content with being the group's heavy hitter, watching Triple H's back and helping him keep that big gold belt. But you know how it goes. When you're that close to greatness, you start to want a piece for yourself. And boy, did Batista want that championship bad. The tension between Batista and Triple H built slowly at first. A lingering glance at the title here, a moment of hesitation there. It was like watching a pot of water about to boil over. Then came the 2005 Royal Rumble, and everything changed. Batista won the Rumble, earning a shot at any world title he wanted. Now, most people thought he'd go after the WWE Championship. It was a safe bet, right? Wrong. Batista shocked everyone by choosing to face his mentor, Triple H, at WrestleMania 21. This wasn't just a match. It was a changing of the guard. Batista versus Triple H at WrestleMania 21 was like watching David take on Goliath if David had been hitting the gym really hard. The animal unleashed everything he had. And when the dust settled, we had a new World Heavyweight Champion. But winning the title was just the beginning. Batista's reign as champion? It was something else entirely. We're talking 282 days of dominance. That's the longest single reign in the history of the championship. Batista didn't just beat Triple H's record, he smashed it to pieces. During those 282 days, Batista faced challenge after challenge. He took on all comers, from veterans to up-and-coming stars hungry for glory. And each time the animal came out on top. It was like watching a real-life superhero, always finding a way to win against impossible odds. His reign started a thrilling feud with Triple H that saw Batista on the winning end every time, with the last victory coming at Vengeance inside Hell in a Cell. Vengeance took place during the 2005 WWE Draft, which saw both world champions switch brands. As a result, the world title became SmackDown's main prize for the first time, and it was still held by Batista,
To defeat Triple H in his home.
who would end up battling the likes of John Bradshaw Layfield, Eddie Guerrero, and Randy Orton. But being on top is not all glitz and glamour. Batista's reign was as much about personal growth as it was about championship gold. He went from being the muscle to being the man, and that's not an easy transition. There's a story from Batista's reign that really shows what he was up against. During a title defense, he suffered a bad triceps injury. That injury eventually forced Batista to relinquish the title, but not before he'd left his mark on WWE history. He didn't lose the championship in the ring. It took an injury to finally take that big gold belt from his grasp. This wasn't just about holding a title. It was about proving to himself, to Triple H, and the whole world that he belonged at the top. Every successful defense, every obstacle overcome, was another step in Batista's journey from follower to leader. And let's be real, going from Triple H's shadow to outshining him, that was no small feat. Batista had to reinvent himself, find his own voice, his own style. The animal was no longer domesticated or controlled by the cerebral assassin. The animal was unleashed. Just when we thought the World Heavyweight Championship scene couldn't get any crazier, Kurt Angle steps in to shake things up. After Batista's injury leaves the title vacant, WWE needs a new champion. Enter the Olympic hero, making a surprise return in a 20-man battle royal for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. Since he returned after 7 months to the blue brand after being drafted from Raw in the 2005 draft lottery. In a shocking twist, Kurt Angle captures the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. This was his 6th World Championship reign. But hold on, because winning the title is just the beginning of Kurt's wild ride. Despite holding the title for 82 days, Angle had a fantastic championship reign. First up, he faces the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. It's a classic David versus Goliath matchup, with Angle using his technical skills against Henry's raw power. Then comes a showdown with The Undertaker. Talk about a change of pace. Angle goes from facing a powerhouse to battling the Phenom. But the real drama unfolds at No Way Out. Kurt's in a match so controversial, people are still talking about it today. Angle retained the title against Undertaker after a controversial finish where Angle pinned Undertaker while locked in a triangle choke. The aftermath? Total chaos. Suddenly, Kurt Angle's championship reign is hanging by a thread. Undertaker challenged Angle to a rematch on the March 3 episode of SmackDown, where Angle lost by disqualification after Mark Henry interfered and attacked the dead man. This ensured that Angle would enter WrestleMania 22 as champion. All of this leads to a triple threat match at WrestleMania 22. Kurt's facing not one, but 2 challengers gunning for his title. The pressure's on and everyone's wondering, Can the Olympic hero pull off another miracle? Remember when Rey Mysterio shocked the world by winning the 2006 Royal Rumble? Well, that was just the beginning of his unbelievable journey. Mysterio entered the match at number 2 and outlasted 29 other superstars to win. It was like watching David take down an army of Goliaths. At WrestleMania 22, Rey faces off against Kurt Angle and Randy Orton in a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. The odds are stacked against him, but Mysterio pulls off the impossible. He pins Randy Orton and becomes the new champion. The arena explodes as this ultimate underdog reaches the top of the mountain. Now, being champion is never easy, but for Rey Mysterio, it's a whole new level of challenge. He's facing guys twice his size, and everyone wants a piece of that gold. But Rey doesn't back down. He takes on all comers, from the high-flying cruiserweights to the monstrous heavyweights. Then comes JBL, the self-proclaimed wrestling god. This guy is like a walking, talking bank vault, and he's got his eyes set on Rey's title. Their feud is intense, with JBL using every dirty trick in the book to try and take down the champion. JBL stated he deserved the World Heavyweight title during his celebration of becoming the US champion. Mysterio retained his title against JBL at Judgment Day. The feud intensified when JBL lost the US title to Bobby Lashley 5 days later on SmackDown, after being tricked by Mysterio to take on all comers like he himself had. This led JBL to vow that if he did not win his rematch against Mysterio, he would quit SmackDown. In the main event of the evening, Mysterio retained the World Heavyweight Championship, causing JBL to leave SmackDown. Mysterio began a feud with King Booker after Booker won a battle royal to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Just when Rey Mysterio's fairy tale run came to an end, a new chapter began in the World Heavyweight Championship saga. Enter King Booker, the flamboyant monarch who shocked the WWE Universe by defeating Rey Mysterio. This isn't just any title win. It's Booker's first World Championship in WWE, a moment that's been years in the making. King Booker's reign isn't just about the gold, though. It's a complete transformation. Suddenly, we're seeing a whole new side of Booker T. He's strutting around with a crown and scepter, speaking in a ridiculous fake British accent. It's so over the top you can't help but watch. Booker's work as a heel was outstanding, and he was finally in a main event role that he deserved. One of the highlights of Booker's title reign was retaining his championship in a Champion of Champions match against the WWE Champion John Cena and the ECW Champion Big Show at Cyber Sunday. But here's where things get really interesting. Batista, the former champion, wants his title back, and he's not playing around. This feud between King Booker and Batista, it's not just about the championship. It gets personal fast. We're talking sneak attacks, royal decrees, and battles that spill beyond the ring. King Booker's got his court backing him up: Queen Charmel, Sir William Regal, and Sir Finlay. But even with all that support, cracks start to show in the King's armor. As Survivor Series approaches, you can feel the pressure mounting. Batista's breathing down his neck, and King Booker's grip on the title is getting shakier by the day. It all comes to a head at Survivor Series 2006. Batista gets his last shot at dethroning King Booker. In the end, Batista's power proves too much. He hits the Batista bomb, and just like that, King Booker's reign comes to an end after 126 days in an underwhelming main event. Batista's back on top, and he's not messing around. But hold up, because here comes Mr. Kennedy. This loudmouth from Wisconsin wants a piece of Batista's title. Their rivalry is short, but intense, with Kennedy trying every trick in the book to get under Batista's skin. It's like watching a bulldog take on a pit bull. Neither one's backing down. Just when Batista thinks he's got everything under control, the dead man comes calling.
The Undertaker has put together here at WrestleMania.
The Undertaker wins the 2007 Royal Rumble, and he's got his sights set on the World Heavyweight Championship. Suddenly, Batista's facing his toughest challenge yet. WrestleMania 23 rolls around, and it's time for the showdown. Batista versus The Undertaker for all the marbles. The match is epic, with both men pushing each other to the limit. In the end, the Phenom stood tall, adding another world title to his legendary career. The Undertaker stands tall at WrestleMania 23, the World Heavyweight Championship finally in his grasp. It was Undertaker's first World Championship match at WrestleMania in a decade, and he was determined to make up for the lost time. This isn't just a win, it's a statement. The Undertaker is showing the world that age is just a number. He's still got it, still capable of competing at the highest level. It's like watching a fine wine. The Phenom's only getting better with age. Through it all, The Undertaker remains a dominant force. His matches during this time are some of the best of his career. He's not just winning, he's putting on clinics, showing why he's called the Phenom. But if you think this story's over, think again. Batista's not about to let his precious title slip away that easily. Next up, a last man standing match. This isn't just a fight, it's a war, and neither man's willing to stay down. It's like watching two mountains collide. The match goes back and forth, each near fall leaving fans on the edge of their seats. Finally, after a brutal battle, it ended in a draw. In the end, the dead man walked away as champion, but Batista wasn't done yet. These two giants clash again in a steel cage match. Imagine it, two behemoths trapped inside unforgiving steel, battling for wrestling's ultimate prize. The crowd's going wild as Batista and Undertaker throw everything they've got at each other. Bodies slam against the cage, the sound echoing through the arena. But unfortunately, which also ended in a draw. The Undertaker's journey with the World Heavyweight Championship is more than just title reigns. It's about legacy. It's about proving that he's still one of the best. Unfortunately, Undertaker's reign failed to catch fire as it lasted just 37 days. Just when we thought the World Heavyweight Championship couldn't get any crazier, Edge steps in and turns everything upside down. Remember that epic steel cage match between Undertaker and Batista that ended in a draw? Well, Edge saw his chance and boy, did he take it. Undertaker and Batista are lying exhausted in the ring after their brutal battle. Suddenly, Edge's music hits. The rated R superstar sprints down to the ring, briefcase in hand. In the blink of an eye, Edge pins The Undertaker and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. It's like watching a shark smell blood in the water and go for the kill. This moment right here, it's why they call Edge the ultimate opportunist. But this was just the beginning. Batista, still fuming from his draw with Undertaker, wants a piece of Edge's newly won title. They clash at Judgment Day, and against all odds, Edge walks away still champion. You'd think Batista would give up, right? Wrong. They meet again at One Night Stand inside a steel cage. The animal's throwing everything he's got at Edge, but somehow, some way, the rated R superstar slipped away with the gold once again. Now, Batista's getting desperate. He challenges Edge one last time at Vengeance, Night of Champions. It's do or die for the animal. If he loses, he can't challenge for the title again as long as Edge is champion. The match is intense, with both men pushing their limits. But in the end, Edge proves why he's the champion, defeating Batista and ending their rivalry for good. Edge's reign seems unstoppable. He's outsmarted and outfought everyone who's come his way. But then disaster strikes. Just a week before the Great American Bash, Edge suffers an injury and has to relinquish the title. It's a crushing blow for the ultimate opportunist, but don't count him out yet. You see, this is just the beginning of Edge's World Heavyweight Championship legacy. Over his career, he's going to win the title an incredible 7 times, which is more than any other superstar in history. Edge doesn't just hold the championship, he redefines what it means to be champion. His tactics aren't always pretty. Edge is known for his cunning, his willingness to do whatever it takes. He's not above using low blows, weapons, or even his allies to keep that gold around his waist. It's not about being the most popular or the strongest. For Edge, it was always about being the smartest, the most resourceful, and always staying one step ahead of everyone else. One of Edge's most memorable moments as champion? Well, let's just say it involves a wedding, a love triangle, and a shocking betrayal. But we'll save that juicy story for later. Trust me, when you hear about it, your jaw's gonna hit the floor. Just when Edge's injury leaves the World Heavyweight Championship up for grabs, a giant shadow looms over WWE. The Great Khali, all 7 feet and 347 pounds of him, stomps into the title picture. At SmackDown, Khali shocks everyone by winning a 20-man battle royal to become the new champion. It's like watching a human wrecking ball plow through the competition. In his first title defense, Khali defeated both Batista and Kane in a triple threat match at the Great American Bash on July 22nd. Khali's reign is something else. He introduces a new finisher called the Khali Vice Grip, and it's brutal. Imagine having your head squeezed like a grape by hands the size of dinner plates. Superstars are tapping out left and right. For a while, it seems like no one can stop the Punjabi powerhouse. But every giant has his weakness. At Unforgiven 2007, Khali faces his toughest challenge yet, a triple threat match against Batista and Rey Mysterio. It's David and Goliath ×2, with Khali trying to swat away these smaller, faster opponents. The match is pure chaos with bodies flying everywhere. In the end, Batista proves why he's the animal. He hits Khali with a spinebuster for the win, ending the Giant's 61-day reign. Just like that, the Punjabi nightmare is over, and Batista reclaims his spot on the top of the mountain, snatching his third World Heavyweight Championship. But the Punjabi nightmare isn't done yet. They face off in a Punjabi prison match, where Batista barely escapes with his title. Just when Batista thinks he's got it made, guess who shows up? The dead man himself, The Undertaker. At Cyber Sunday, they clash with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee. It's every WWE fan's dream come true. But the real shocker comes at Survivor Series. Batista and Undertaker go to war inside Hell in a Cell. The match is brutal, with both men punishing each other to the limit. Then, out of nowhere, Edge interferes. He helps Batista win, leaving everyone wondering what's really going on. Edge's master plan unfolds at Armageddon. In a triple threat match, the rated R superstar outsmarted both Batista and Undertaker to steal the World Heavyweight Championship. Edge proves again why he's the ultimate opportunist. Remember how Edge shocked everyone by cashing in his Money in the Bank contract? Well, at Armageddon 2007, Edge pulls off another stunner. In a triple threat match against Batista and The Undertaker, he wins his second World Heavyweight Championship. But here's the kicker. He doesn't do it alone. During the match, Edge uses two lookalikes to distract Batista and The Undertaker. It's pure chaos. While everyone's trying to figure out what's going on, Edge strikes. He hits The Undertaker with two nasty chair shots, then pins Batista, who's just been tombstoned by the dead man. Just like that, Edge is champion again. But who are these mysterious lookalikes? Turns out, they're the Major Brothers, soon to be known as Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. Edge is building his own little empire here, and it doesn't stop with those two. He forms an alliance with Chavo Guerrero, Vicky's nephew. Together, they're unstoppable. Edge even helps Chavo win the ECW championship, defeating CM Punk. This faction becomes known as La Familia. It's like a wrestling soap opera, and Edge is the star. As champion, Edge is on fire. He successfully defended his title against Rey Mysterio at the Royal Rumble, and again at No Way Out. It seems like nothing can stop the rated R superstar. Oh, did I mention he proposes to Vicky Guerrero? Talk about mixing business with pleasure. But every reign has to end sometime. At WrestleMania 24, Edge faces The Undertaker. In a clash of titans, with the World Heavyweight Championship on the line, in a shocking turn of events, Edge taps out to The Undertaker's Hell's Gate submission hold. The dead man claims the gold, ending Edge's 124-day reign. The dead man stands tall, holding the big gold belt high for the second time. But this story's far from over. At Backlash, Edge wants his rematch. He's hungry for that title. But Undertaker's not giving it up without a fight. Once again, the Phenom proved why he's one of the best, successfully defending his championship. Just when it seems like Undertaker's reign is unshakable, Vicky Guerrero throws a curveball. She strips the dead man of his title. Why? Because she claims the Hell's Gate submission is too dangerous. It's a controversial move that sets the WWE Universe on fire. Now we've got a vacant championship and a whole roster of superstars ready to claim it. Edge wins a tournament for a shot at the gold, facing Undertaker at Judgment Day. But here's the kicker. Edge loses by countout. Since titles can't change hands that way, we're still without a champion. Vicky Guerrero schedules a match at One Night Stand, a TLC match, but here's the catch. If Undertaker loses, he's banished from WWE. The stakes couldn't be higher. At One Night Stand, Edge would defeat The Undertaker after interference from La Familia, Chavo Guerrero, and Bam Neely, winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the third time. Since he lost, The Undertaker was also forced to leave the company. With The Undertaker banished from WWE, Edge thinks he's got it made, but the World Heavyweight Champion sheen is about to explode. At Night of Champions 2008, Edge barely escapes with his title after La Familia interferes in his match against Batista. Following Night of Champions, Raw didn't have a top-tier championship belt, as the ECW title was returned to the ECW brand following Mark Henry's win, and Triple H had been drafted to the SmackDown brand, taking the WWE title in the process. On the June 30th episode of Raw, Edge made an appearance, causing Batista to show up and beat him down. Just when Edge looks finished, CM Punk's music hits. The straight edge superstar sprints to the ring, Money in the Bank briefcase in hand. In a flash, Punk cashes in. One go to sleep later, and we've got a new world champion. The WWE Universe is in shock. Edge's reign is over, and CM Punk stands tall with the big gold belt. But this isn't just any title change. Punk's victory shifts the World Heavyweight Championship to Raw, shaking up both brands. It's a moment that changes everything, setting the stage for a new era in the title's history. No matter the method, it was a passing of the torch, a star from the previous generation putting over an emerging one from the current day, the first Money in the Bank winner being defeated by the most recent. On the same night, he defended the title against JBL, although WWE made their first mistake by having JBL distracted at ringside by John Cena in Crime Time, with Punk picking up the win because of this. It wasn't the best of starts in trying to make Punk look like a strong champion. Punk's first world title reign was average, but he had some strong title defenses. Punk's character didn't develop too much, with him lacking the edge that made him so popular to begin with, as WWE hugely diluted his personality. At the Great American Bash pay-per-view, he came up against Batista, but instead of being a victory, their dull match ended in a cheap double DQ, as Kane interfered to attack both men. In the post-match, Batista laid out Punk, making the champion look the weakest out of all three individuals. At SummerSlam, Punk faced JBL, with this marking his one and only clean world title defense. However, the match itself was very underwhelming, with the pair struggling to really get going. Just 69 days into his reign, CM Punk's reign came to a lackluster end as he was ambushed by Randy Orton and The Legacy before his defense at Unforgiven, forcing him to relinquish the belt through being unable to compete. Although Punk would lose it all a little over 2 months later, vacating it with an angle due to a beatdown by The Legacy, this win, all on its own, elevated Punk to a level many thought he would never reach. Just when CM Punk's reign comes to a shocking end at Unforgiven 2008, Chris Jericho steps in to shake things up. At that pay-per-view, Jericho had already lost to Shawn Michaels by referee stoppage. However, Jericho returned later in the card and replaced CM Punk in a championship scramble match. In a surprise twist, Y2J walks away with the World Heavyweight Championship, defeating Batista, JBL, Kane, and Rey Mysterio. It took 7 years after Chris Jericho was the WWE Undisputed Champion in 2001 before he became a world champion again. But Jericho's journey is just the beginning. At No Mercy, he faces off against Shawn Michaels in a ladder match for the title. It's a clash of two of WWE's greatest performers, and Jericho comes out on top. Jericho's reign has more twists and turns than a roller coaster. He loses the title to Batista at Cyber Sunday, only to win it back 8 days later on Raw in a steel cage match. It's like watching a game of hot potato with the championship. This title reign only lasted for 20 days before he lost the world title to John Cena at Survivor Series 2008. Cena makes his return after months on the shelf. He doesn't waste any time, defeating Jericho to win his very first World Heavyweight Championship. The fans go nuts. Cena's back, and he's got the gold around his waist. But Jericho isn't about to let go that easily. These two clash again at Armageddon, with Cena coming out on top once more. It's like watching two titans go to war, with neither one willing to give an inch. Cena follows that up by defending his title against JBL at the Royal Rumble. The champ is on a roll. Then comes No Way Out, and everything changes. Edge, being the ultimate opportunist, attacked Kofi Kingston and took his spot in the Elimination Chamber match. In a shocking turn of events, Edge walks away with the World Heavyweight Championship. Cena's reign is cut short after just 84 days. But don't count out Big Match Jonathan just yet. At WrestleMania 25, he gets his rematch in a triple threat match against Edge and Big Show. It's absolute chaos, with bodies flying everywhere. When the dust settles, Cena stands tall, reclaiming his World Heavyweight Championship for the second time on the grandest stage of them all. The celebration is short-lived though. At Backlash, Cena and Edge face off in a last man standing match. It's brutal, with both men pushing each other to the limit. Just when it looks like Cena might pull off another miracle, Big Show interferes. He chokeslams Cena through a spotlight, allowing Edge to pick up the win and the title for the 5th time, and ending Cena's title reign after 21 days. At Extreme Rules 2009, Hardy defeated Edge to win the World Heavyweight Championship in a ladder match. It's a moment of pure joy for Jeff and his fans. In the late 2000s, there was no bigger superstar in the world of professional wrestling than Jeff Hardy. He was the name with all the fan support behind him. He was the underdog that had been in WWE for years as a tag team specialist and had some single success, but fans wanted to see something bigger. After years of chasing the big one, Jeff had finally captured the World Heavyweight Championship. But in WWE, nothing's ever simple. Just when Jeff thinks he's on top of the world, CM Punk shows up to rain on his parade. Punk cashes in his Money in the Bank contract right after Jeff's grueling match against Edge. 1 GTS later, and Punk's the new champ. Jeff's reign lasted for just a few minutes, but this is just the beginning. It ended Hardy's first World Heavyweight title reign. This sparked a very intense and personal feud between the two. They ended up trading the World Heavyweight title back and forth with each other. It saw Hardy win a second reign with the title, and the same for Punk. They clash at the match, with Jeff winning the match via disqualification after Punk kicked the ref in the back while feigning an eye injury, with Punk still retaining the title. But Jeff's not done, not by a long shot. These two meet again at Night of Champions, and this time, Jeff walks away with the gold. It's back and forth, neither man able to keep the upper hand for long. Then comes SummerSlam. Jeff and Punk face off in a TLC match for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's absolute chaos. Ladders are falling, tables are breaking, and both men are putting their bodies on the line. In the end, CM Punk climbs to the top of the ladder and grabs the title, making CM Punk a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. But every story has to come to an end sometime. On the August 28th episode of SmackDown, Jeff puts his career on the line against CM Punk in a steel cage match. It's do or die time. The match is brutal, with both men giving it their all. Hardy lost to Punk in a steel cage rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship, with the stipulation the loser leaves the WWE, resulting in Hardy leaving WWE. CM Punk's victory over Jeff Hardy in that steel cage match isn't just another title defense. It's the start of something big. Punk's not just a champion. He's on a mission to prove he's the best in the world. But Punk's reign isn't all smooth sailing. At breaking point, he faces The Undertaker in a submission match. Now, you'd think the dead man would have this in a bag, right? Wrong. Punk pulls off the unthinkable. He beats The Undertaker, but there's a catch. The match ends in controversy. The Undertaker actually makes Punk tap out to the Hell's Gate. But then, SmackDown General Manager Teddy Long restarts the match. Why? Because apparently, Vicky Guerrero's old ban on the Hell's Gate is still in effect. Punk takes advantage and wins with the Anaconda Vice. But Undertaker didn't tap out. If this sounds familiar, that's because it was. It's eerily similar to the Montreal Screwjob from 1997. Same city, same controversy, different decade. Punk's not done with The Undertaker yet, but sometimes being the best in the world isn't enough. The Phenom proves why he's a legend, defeating Punk and ending his 47-day reign as World Heavyweight Champion. Punk's third reign might not have been the longest, but it's one of the most memorable. He beat Jeff Hardy. But in the end, even the voice of the voiceless couldn't overcome the dead man. The Undertaker's victory over CM Punk at Hell in a Cell isn't just another title win. It's the start of the dead man's final reign as World Heavyweight Champion. And boy, was it interesting. Fresh off his victory, The Undertaker successfully defended the title against CM Punk on the October 23rd episode of SmackDown in a fatal 4-way match at Bragging Rights against Punk, Batista, and Rey Mysterio, and in a triple threat match against Chris Jericho and Big Show at Survivor Series. After successfully defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Rey Mysterio at the Royal Rumble, it's David versus Goliath all over again, with Rey trying to use his speed against the Phenom's power. But Taker proves why he's the champ, walking away with the win.
We gotta hand it to Rey Mysterio. He had The Undertaker.
But here's where things get really interesting. At Elimination Chamber, Undertaker puts his title on the line inside Satan's structure. He's facing 5 other superstars, all hungry for that gold. The match is chaos with bodies flying and careers on the line. Just when it looks like Taker might pull off another miracle, Shawn Michaels shows up. He super kicks Undertaker, allowing Chris Jericho to pin the dead man and become the new world champion. Just like that, Undertaker's final reign is over. But let's not forget, this run cements Undertaker's legacy as one of the greatest champions ever. At 44 years old, he became the oldest World Heavyweight Champion in history. It's proof that the Phenom still has it, even after all these years. Chris Jericho's back on top, but his final World Heavyweight Championship reign is anything but smooth sailing. He's got a target on his back, and everyone wants a piece of that gold. But here comes Edge, winning the 2010 Royal Rumble and setting his sights on Y2J. These two have history, and it's about to boil over at WrestleMania 26. The buildup is intense, with both men pulling out all the stops to get in each other's heads. WrestleMania night arrives, and the crowd's on fire. Edge versus Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's a back-and-forth battle with near falls and crazy moves. Just when it looks like Edge might pull it off, Jericho outsmarts him. Y2J retains, leaving Edge and the fans stunned. But wait, because this story's far from over. Just days later on SmackDown, Jack Swagger shocks the world. He cashes in his Money in the Bank contract on a beaten-down Jericho and walks away the new World Heavyweight Champion. Nobody saw this coming. Suddenly, the title picture's wide open. Swagger's the champ, but he's got a line of hungry challengers. Edge wants revenge on Jericho, but also has his eye on that gold. And let's not forget about the other superstars chomping at the bit for a shot at the big time. Just when everyone thinks the World Heavyweight Championship scene can't get any crazier, WWE throws us a curveball. At Fatal 4-Way, Rey Mysterio shocks the world by defeating Jack Swagger, Big Show, and CM Punk to win the title for the second time. It's David versus 3 Goliaths, and somehow David comes out on top. But Rey's fairy tale didn't last long. He only held the championship for 28 days before Kane swoops in to ruin the party. The Money in the Bank ladder match that happened earlier in the night, well, Kane won it, and he's not wasting any time. He cashes in on Rey after successfully defending it against Jack Swagger and walks away as the new World Heavyweight Champion, thus making Kane the first wrestler in WWE history to win the WWE Championship, the ECW Championship, and the World Heavyweight Championship. He became the first wrestler to cash in Money in the Bank contract on the same night it was won, and also holds the record for the fastest cash-in at 47 minutes. This was Kane's first title run in 13 years, and he wasn't messing around. Kane had a lone World Championship reign in 1998 that lasted a day when he dropped the WWE Championship back to Steve Austin. The Devil's favorite demon held the ECW Championship in 2008 for a few months. Rey's not giving up that easily, though. He gets his rematch at SummerSlam, determined to reclaim what he lost. The crowd's behind him, chanting his name as he faces off against the Big Red Machine. But sometimes, even the ultimate underdog can't overcome the odds. Kane proves too powerful, and Rey's championship dreams are crushed once again. This roller coaster ride shows just how unpredictable the World Heavyweight Championship can be. 1 minute, you're on top of the world. The next, you're watching someone else walk away with your title. It's a reminder that in WWE, you can never get too comfortable. But Kane's toughest challenge is just around the corner, and it's a family affair. The Undertaker returns, setting his sights on his brother's championship. It's brother versus brother, with the World Heavyweight Championship caught in the middle. These two giants clash at Night of Champions in a no-holds-barred match. The rules are out the window, and these brothers are ready to tear each other apart. Against all odds, Kane emerges victorious. He's beaten the dead man, but the war is far from over. The next SmackDown, things get even crazier. Druids bring a casket to ringside, and out pops Paul Bearer, the Undertaker's old manager, showing support for The Undertaker. At Hell in a Cell, Kane and Undertaker face off again inside Satan's structure. It's a brutal battle, with both men pushing each other to the limit. Just when it looks like Undertaker might pull it off, Paul Bearer betrays him, helping Kane retain the title. It's a shocking moment that leaves the WWE Universe stunned. The final chapter of this brotherly feud comes at bragging rights in a Buried Alive match. Kane's got help from the Nexus, and it proves too much for even the Phenom to overcome. Kane walks away still champion, having finally put his brother to rest, literally. But Kane's reign isn't over yet. Edge gets involved, leading to a four-way match that pushes the Big Red Machine to his limits. It all comes to a head at TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. In a match as chaotic as Kane's reign, Edge manages to climb the ladder and snatch the title, ending Kane's 154-day reign of terror, snatching his 6th world title. The Rated R Superstar is not done making history. He kicks off 2011 by beating Kane in a brutal last man standing match. Edge proves he's still got it, keeping the Big Red Machine down for the 10 count. The Royal Rumble rolls around, and Edge faces off against the show-off himself, Dolph Ziggler. It's a back-and-forth battle, but Edge walks away with the gold still around his waist. But the drama's just beginning. On the 600th episode of SmackDown, things got crazy. Acting GM Vicky Guerrero fired Edge in storyline and hands the title to Ziggler. Just when all hope seems lost, Theodore Long shows up to save the day. He rehires Edge, setting up a match against Ziggler. Edge doesn't just win, he makes history. He becomes a 7-time World Heavyweight Champion, bringing his total world title count to 11. But the Ultimate Opportunist isn't done yet. At Elimination Chamber, Edge enters the unforgiving structure with 5 other hungry superstars. It's absolute chaos, with bodies flying everywhere. When the dust settles, Edge is the last man standing, pinning Rey Mysterio to keep his title. WrestleMania 27, the grandest stage of them all. Edge defends his championship against Alberto Del Rio in what turns out to be his final match. The Rated R Superstar goes out on top, keeping his title and cementing his legacy. On the April 11th, 2011 episode of Raw, Edge gives an emotional speech about his career and the realities of wrestling.
My eyes showed that I have to retire.
Later that same week on SmackDown, Edge officially relinquished the World Heavyweight Championship, retiring as the World Heavyweight Champion, while recapping his announcement and expressing gratitude over this happening now rather than when it was too late. Edge's final title reign before retiring in 2011 lasted 55 days. Edge's retirement left a huge hole in the World Heavyweight Championship picture, but his best friend Christian stepped up, determined to honor Edge's legacy. At Extreme Rules, Captain Charisma won his first World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio in a stunning ladder match. His best friend Edge vacated the title after being forced to retire. Instead of giving the title to his friend, he made him earn it by winning a brutal war against Del Rio. It was an emotional moment, years in the making. But Christian's title reign didn't last long. Just a few days later, Randy Orton swoops in like a viper and strikes. On SmackDown, Orton defeats Christian to become the new champ. The WWE Universe is shocked. Christian's dream is crushed in less than a week. At Over the Limit, Christian got his rematch against Orton. These two put on a clinic, pushing each other to the limit. But Orton proved why he's called the Apex Predator. He retains his title, leaving Christian to wonder if he'll ever reach the top again. He had a few title defense victories against Christian and Sheamus. At Money in the Bank on July 17th, Christian won the World Heavyweight Championship for the second and final time after Orton was disqualified for kicking him where the sun don't shine. The stipulation was if Orton was disqualified or the referee made a bad call, he would lose the title. At SummerSlam on August 14th, Christian lost the World Heavyweight Championship back to Orton in a no-holds-barred match. Later, Christian would face Orton in a steel cage match on the August 30th episode of SmackDown for the title, which Christian lost to end their feud. Randy Orton's reign as World Heavyweight Champion comes crashing down, and a new challenger emerges. Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, steps up to claim his spot at the top. Henry's not playing around. He's on a rampage, destroying everyone in his path. Orton's in trouble, and he knows it. Night after night, Henry unleashed brutal attacks on Orton. It was like watching a freight train run over everything in its way. The tension builds as fans wonder, can anyone stop the world's strongest man? At Night of Champions, Henry and Orton finally clashed. It's power versus speed, strength versus cunning. In a shocking turn, Henry proves too much for the Viper. He pins Orton and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. Mark Henry looked great with the championship over his shoulder. And after years of roaming the mid-card, he was a true main eventer, with everyone on board with him in his prominent position. Henry would defend his title inside Hell in a Cell, once again emerging victorious, before his past would come back to bite him in the form of the Big Show. When wrestling at Vengeance, the pair would perform a superplex, breaking the ring in a huge, memorable moment. second only to the initial ring break spot years earlier. During a feud that also included Mr. Money in the Bank, Daniel Bryan, Henry would lose his title to the Big Show at TLC. This was unfortunate, as his reign didn't perhaps reach the heights it could have done, and a younger star would have benefited much more from being the one to finally dethrone the monster champion. That was undoubtedly a missed opportunity, but at least it led to Bryan winning his first world title in WWE. In a flash, the underdog becomes top dog, holding the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. The WWE Universe erupts as Bryan stands tall, proving that sometimes dreams really do come true. This victory marked Bryan's first World Championship in WWE, and his reign lasted for 105 days, during which he showed he is a bona fide main eventer in WWE. But being champion isn't all glitz and glamour. Bryan's got a target on his back, and everyone wants a piece of that gold. His first title defense comes against Big Show on SmackDown. It's David versus Goliath all over again, with Bryan using every trick in the book to outsmart the Giant. Bryan walks away still champion by getting disqualified to retain the title against the Big Show after making Mark Henry angry and causing Henry to push him. The challenges keep coming. At the Royal Rumble, Bryan faced Mark Henry and the Big Show. With the 4 consecutive title defenses, Bryan is the most defended champion since Edge in 2011. Bryan would then successfully defend the world title at Elimination Chamber 2012 and would defend the title against the Royal Rumble 2012 winner Sheamus at WrestleMania 28. Then comes the match that has everyone talking. Bryan defends his championship against Sheamus at WrestleMania 28. The crowd's buzzing, ready for an epic showdown. The bell rings, and 18 seconds later, it's all over. Sheamus hits a brogue kick out of nowhere, pinning Bryan before most fans have even sat down. Just like that, Bryan's fairy tale reign comes to a shocking end. Bryan's journey from underdog to champion changes the World Heavyweight Champion scene forever. He proves that size isn't everything, that heart and skill can take you to the top. His reign might have been short, but its impact is felt long after that 18-second shocker at WrestleMania. The reign that followed was the best of Sheamus' career. Across 210 days, he met and defeated Daniel Bryan, Alberto Del Rio, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, and Dolph Ziggler, amongst others. He would eventually lose the title in a somewhat hidden gem of a match, considering who was involved, against the Big Show at Hell in a Cell 2012. His World Heavyweight title reign was the 3rd longest in WWE history to that point. Big Show went on to defend his title twice against Sheamus, then entered into a feud with Alberto Del Rio. On the January 11th episode of SmackDown, Big Show lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Del Rio in a last man standing match, ending his reign at 72 days. When Del Rio dethroned the Big Show at the start of 2012, beginning a reign as a babyface, fans weren't entirely enthralled. On January 27th at the Royal Rumble, defeating Big Show in another last man standing match after Rodriguez duct taped Big Show's legs to the ropes. Finally, Del Rio and Big Show faced off in a singles match on February 17th at Elimination Chamber, while Del Rio submitted him to a cross armbreaker to retain his title. When it became clear that Del Rio would continue holding the belt on the road to WrestleMania, likely defending it at the event, it further cemented just how far the world title had fallen, especially since the end of the brand split, in which the WWE Championship was put on a much higher pedestal, with the big gold feeling like a glorified mid-card belt. Even though some significant names such as Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, and Big Show would hold the title, it was very rarely in the main event, being overshadowed by the WWE title, along with other feuds. In fact, from the end of 2010 to the end of 2013, the World Heavyweight title didn't main event a single PLE. The Elimination Chamber PLE was set to determine the man who would step up to face Del Rio, and the field featured 6 former world champions. In a completely shocking turn of events, Jack Swagger would emerge victorious, despite being arguably the least credible competitor in the match. Del Rio then began a feud with his new #1 contender, Jack Swagger, over his opposing political views regarding immigration in America. However, things didn't turn out well for him or the Mania match. WrestleMania 29 was a major disappointment, featuring lackluster matches and a lack of creativity and diversity. The only highlight was the Undertaker versus CM Punk match. The bout between Swagger and Del Rio was already tarnished leading up to the event due to Swagger's arrest and DUI charge. Prior to this, many believed Swagger was set to win, but the situation altered plans and drained the energy from the feud before it even started. Swagger's jobber entrance at WrestleMania was highly unusual for an event of this magnitude. Del Rio defeated Swagger via submission to retain the world title. At this point, the World Heavyweight title had become a mid-card belt by the time it was retired. Even with its lineage, the belt felt like a shell of what it once was. Far from being the same prize held by Hall of Famers and legends, it was a glorified mid-card title. The Raw after WrestleMania 29 in 2013, Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Alberto Del Rio to win his second World Heavyweight Championship. The pop he received despite being a heel was monumental. Dolph Ziggler should have had plenty of memorable reigns as a world champion in WWE. He had the charisma and in-ring prowess to be a great champion, but it never worked out. Despite holding the title for 70 days, Ziggler never successfully defended the title. He dropped the championship back to Del Rio at Payback 2013. The match was not memorable at all. Alberto went on to keep the title for 133 days, defending against the likes of Dolph Ziggler, Christian, and Rob Van Dam. At Hell in a Cell, Del Rio lost the world title to Cena. This was Cena's third and final World Heavyweight title run. During this reign, Cena bested Del Rio in a rematch, and Damien Sandow, an up-and-coming superstar whose skills in the ring and on the microphone were championship caliber, when he cashed in Money in the Bank. When John Cena won the title in 2013, it wasn't to propel the belt back into bigger heights. It was done to unify the belt with the WWE title. Two legendary superstars, Randy Orton and John Cena, clashed in their most significant match at TLC 2013. Orton was defending his WWE Championship, while Cena's World Heavyweight Championship was on the line in a TLC match, with the winner becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Although neither Orton nor Cena were known for their expertise in TLC matches, they adapted to the stipulation well. At one point, Cena was handcuffed but managed to free himself. In the end, Orton's cunning strategy paid off when he yanked the loose rope, sending Cena crashing through a table, allowing Orton to claim both titles in one of the biggest victories of his career. Randy Orton was the final champion in his fourth reign. Orton would continue to carry the two belts, as would Daniel Bryan and John Cena after him. 2014 was the last time it was seen, when, after Brock Lesnar beat Cena for the title, WWE awarded him a new championship. This retired the use of the World Heavyweight title belt. But here's the kicker. The World Heavyweight Championship story isn't over yet. In fact, its most shocking chapter might be the one you never saw coming. Let's talk numbers for a second. Over its 11-year history, the World Heavyweight Championship was held by 25 different superstars. That's a lot of talent passing around that big gold belt. But it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. This title elevated careers and created moments that WWE fans will never forget. Remember when Edge cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on a battered Undertaker? Or when Rey Mysterio, the ultimate underdog, finally reached the top of the mountain? These weren't just title changes. They were defining moments in WWE history. The World Heavyweight Championship wasn't just a prize to be won. It was a storytelling device, a way to create drama and excitement that kept fans on the edge of their seats. When Batista turned on Evolution to challenge Triple H, it wasn't just about the gold. It was about breaking free and proving himself. And let's not forget about the record set during this title's run. Edge became a 7-time World Heavyweight Champion, proving why he was called the Ultimate Opportunist. Batista's first reign lasted a whopping 282 days, showing that sometimes slow and steady really does win the race. But it wasn't all about long reigns and multiple title wins. Sometimes, the briefest moments made the biggest impact. Remember when Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank contract on Alberto Del Rio? The crowd went absolutely nuts. It didn't matter that his reign was short. That moment will live forever in WWE history. The World Heavyweight Championship also gave us some of the most epic matches in WWE history. The Hell in a Cell battles, the TLC matches, steel cage showdowns. This title brought out the best in every superstar who fought for it. But here's where things get really interesting. Just when you think the story of the World Heavyweight Championship is over, WWE throws us a curveball. In 2023, over 20 years after he was awarded the World Heavyweight title by Bischoff on Raw, Triple H announced that Raw would have a World Heavyweight Championship. It was introduced to serve the same purpose, WWE Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns is exclusive to SmackDown, just like Lesnar was. The title pays homage to the one that came before it. Just as the original was introduced to have a champion on Raw, this one serves the same purpose as well. Now, this isn't the same as the one we've been talking about. It doesn't carry the lineage of the 2002 to 2013 version, but its very existence proves something important. The concept of a world championship in wrestling is timeless. So, what does this all mean? Well, it shows that while titles may come and go, the idea of being the best, of being a world champion, never gets old. The World Heavyweight Championship might be gone, but its legacy lives on in every superstar who steps into the ring dreaming of gold. For over a decade, this title wasn't just a piece of gold. It was the center of epic storylines that kept fans glued to their screens. It is easily one of the greatest looking and aesthetically well-designed titles in the history of wrestling. Now, WWE's got a new World Heavyweight Championship. It's not the same design as the old one, but it shows that being the best never goes out of style. Wrestling changes, but the goal, being world champ, that's forever. But there's so much more to explore in WWE's rich history. From the golden era to the attitude era, and all the way to today. If you're eager to dive deeper, click the video on screen now, where we break down all WWE eras in just 36 minutes. We'll cover the monumental moments that shaped wrestling as we know it. Don't miss it.